What is going on, online fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives, Make Money Online Training Podcast. This is the #1 show for online fitness coaches who are trying to grow successful online business. In today's episode, we're talking about this idea of doing it scared. I'm going to give you guys the mindset that I think is necessary in order to go after some of the things that you want to do in your life. This is the #1 podcast for online fitness coaches. So if you guys get any sort of value from my podcast, we don't do any ads for the podcast. So if you could screenshot the podcast episode, share it to your Instagram story, tag me at BMarkFit. If you got value, that would mean the world to me. So, guys, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about fear. All right, we're going to be talking about fear. And we're talking about fear because it was only a few months ago that I got a phone call from one of my really good friends. And the phone call basically was for lack of candor. My friend basically called me and is like, "Hey, man, like, I've got an opportunity for you, and I'd love for you to jump in on it. And basically, like, I want to buy a gym, and I want to buy a gym with you. And I want to be a gym owner, and I want to open this gym and this facility, and I want it to be big, and I want it to be in West Kelowna, and I want to do big things with it, and I want to create a movement." And I can remember like the feeling that I had when I got that call of like, I want to buy a gym. And it was like, I've always wanted to have a gym. Like, I think I've literally wanted to own a gym since I was like 21, 22 years old. It was something that I wrote down on my vision board, and it was like a goal that like I really did want to commit to, and that a goal that I really did want. But when I got that phone call, I can remember like literally my entire body just like overcome with fear. I can remember what it felt like to think about owning a gym, and immediately I started, thinking to myself like, oh man, like I've never done this before, and so like, what if I do this and I fail at it? And then I started thinking to myself, like, what if I commit to this gym, and then by committing to the gym, I actually take away from PT domination, which is the thing that I'm the most passionate about. And, like, what if I commit to the gym, and then because I committed to the gym, I don't have enough time to do the podcast, and like, I'm not a gym owner. Like, I'm not a gym owner. I've never owned a gym. Like, I've never done this before. Like, what if all of the online training knowledge that I have isn't applicable to owning a gym? Like, what if it's a different business, and what if it's a different structure and I don't understand it? And, it's COVID right now. And so why would I buy a gym in the middle of COVID? And I felt all of this fear, like, overcome my body. Not only that, you guys, but like, it was a significant chunk of change. Like, it was not like a quick, easy investment. Like, it was a big chunk of change, like just immediately into the gym and in the middle of COVID. And so I remember feeling all of this fear, all of this like internal thoughts. And I think that when we start feeling fear, you guys, what ends up happening is these voices start taking over in our head. And like, let's be honest, like, who here has like felt voices in their head being like, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, it's not the right time, you're too late in the online training game, right? And so when we feel fear, what ends up happening is we get these little voices that speak up and tell us that we're not capable or not qualified, or it's not the right time, or we don't have the right credentials. And so that's what I was experiencing, is I felt all this fear. Now, the other day, I actually did a podcast with one of my good friends. His name's Xander Fryer, and he started this new podcast. It's called Shit You Don't Learn in College. Xander's super cool. I'd recommend you guys check him out. Called Shit You Don't Learn in College. So we did a podcast, and we were talking about like biology, and we were talking about like where fear comes from, because online fitness coaches, like, you guys got to know that like human beings weren't designed to thrive in a capitalist country. Like, that's not what we were designed to do. Like, our biology is literally hardwired to like survive, to find food, and to reproduce. Like, that's what our biology is designed for. Like, that's what we're designed for. And so we weren't hardwired for growth. We were wired for survival. And so our like natural instincts are like eat, hunt, reproduce, and then conserve energy. Like, that's it. Like, that's what we're naturally wired to do. Like, that's our biology. And so that's why it's often super challenging for us to actually go after our goals, because we're literally fighting against our biology. Like, your biology doesn't want you to fucking grind. Like, your biology doesn't want you to get to $10,000 a month. Like, your biology just wants you to make enough money so that you can get by and you can be secure and you can live like a decent life. Like, that's what you're wired to do. That's called a comfort zone. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, who here has ever like gotten to a point in their life where they like make a decent enough money? They're making just enough money to get by, just enough money to like pay their bills. And then once you do that, it's like you feel the need to kind of chill. Who here has done that before? Whether or not you feel the need to, or just like, let me know if you've actually done that before. It's like, once we make enough to get by and we're no longer stressing about bills, that's when we take our foot off the gas pedal because we're wired to survive and we're not wired to thrive. And so let's talk about this desire, right? Because we're talking about doing it fucking scared. And so it's like our biology is hardwired for survival, but then we also have this thing called consciousness. And with this thing called consciousness, like that's where we have desires to grow. Like we want to get to $10,000 a month. We want to live a better life for ourselves. We want to provide for our family and not just survive and get by, but being able to thrive and send our kids to the right schools and buy our wife the right place and give our family the dream life that we've always wanted. And so even though we're hardwired for survival, we also have like a desire to grow. I mean, guys, if you look at it, like if the reason you're following my podcast and you continue to listen to the information that I'm putting out on a daily basis is because I know that you guys know that I've helped 124 students cross $10,000 a month. Like I know that's why you're here. And I know that the reason that you guys continue to show up and be inspired is you on some level, you ask yourself the question, like, can I fucking do this? Right? Like if somebody else is doing this, if somebody else is making $10,000 a month, if Janelle Wheel can make $20,000 a month and Don Lamb can make $120,000 a month, like, can I do this? Can I make $10,000 a month? Right? So hardwired for survival, but we also have this desire to grow. And so my question for you is if you have the knowledge and you have the awareness that, you know, there's other people that are doing this right now. Like there's other online coaches that are on the market right now that are succeeding and at a high level, that are doing amazing things, making a ton of money. My question for you is, why haven't you fucking committed? Like, why haven't you gone all in? And the answer is that you're afraid. You're afraid, right? I mean, like, sure, you want to start and you want to commit, but you're afraid. There's a lot of fear. And you keep thinking that one day, the fear is just going to subside and you're just going to go all in. And so you're listening to my podcast, you know, you've listened to as many episodes as you want, and you keep thinking to yourself that one day this fear is just going to subside. And when it does, then I'm going to reach out to Brian and then I'm going to start. One day. And my invitation to you is to do it scared. Because you're never, ever, ever, ever going to get to a point where you stop feeling fear. Guys, the first mentor, I can remember the first mentor that I ever hired when I was growing my coaching business. And at the time I was doing, everything was organic marketing, and I got my fitness business to $10,000 a month organically. And this was way back in like 2016. And the first mentor I ever had cost me $10,000 and I was making $10K a month. And so like, it was literally a full month's salary for me to invest in this mentor. And it wasn't like I was making $10K a month, but obviously I had to pay rent and shit. So I had to do 4 separate payments of $2,500. And I literally was like, I spent all the money that I had in my bank on this mentor. And it was fucking scary. Like, it was like, I didn't know if I was going to make it back. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if it was possible. You know, this dude was telling me that he was going to, you know, help me blow my business up and he was going to do all these amazing things for me. And I was like I was excited, but I was also super fucking scared. But if there's one thing that I've realized in my 7 years of entrepreneurship is that like that fear never goes away, and you have to learn to do it scared. You have to fucking learn to do it scared. The second mentor I ever hired, his name was Scott Olford. And he's still doing mentorship programs. But I remember I saw a Facebook ad of his and I thought it was super interesting. And so I finally reached out to Scott after seeing his ads for 6 fucking months. And it wasn't even Scott that got on the phone with me. It was this dude named Brad. I remember getting on the phone with Brad, talking a little bit about my business. And he told me his price was $15,000 Canadian. And I literally said no at first. I was like, nope. I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, I'm not paying you $15,000 Canadian. You're smoking fucking crack. But then I went back and me and Cole talked, and it felt like the right move. We were plateaued around $30,000 a month, and we didn't really know how to go beyond that. And homie said he knew how to do it. So we're like, fuck it, let's do it. So we hired him, and we had to do 2 payments of $7,500. And it was pretty much all the money we had in our bank. And it was like, we just had to do it scared. And like when I called Brad back and I paid him the money, it was like, that was not an easy experience, like sending out $7,500 of my money from my bank. But I just had to learn how to do it scared. Online fitness coaches, those of you guys that are, have started your online coaching business, and I'm talking to you now if you're in the 10K Coaching Academy and you actually like committed, right? And you're like in the process, you're in the journey, and there's certain things in your business that you need to do, but you haven't been doing because of fear. And fear manifests in many forms. Fear can be, I don't want to reach out to people because I don't want to feel salesy. Or the reason I haven't gotten on live stream yet is because I'm getting good at writing content first. Or I haven't posted on TikTok yet because I don't understand how to do videos yet, right? So fear manifests in many forms. But when you think about doing something that's super fucking uncomfortable and that's outside of your comfort zone, you guys got to remember, right? So let's talk about this concept that we referred to at the start of the podcast, where that's like our biology is wired to keep us safe, right? It's wired for survival. It's like reproduce, fucking find a mate, and eat food and survive, right? So we're talking about that. And then we're also talking about this desire for more. And so let's go to live streams and TikToks. So you guys watch me on live streams every single day, right? Like those of you guys, there's some of you guys that tune into my podcast every single day. And so even though you're wired for survival, you can tune into like these live streams and these podcasts and get inspired. And it's possible to do it because you see me do it. Like, that there's a desire for more. Like, you're like, if Brian can do it, then like I can do it. Like there's that is inside of you. But then there's also this like fucking huge fear around you doing it for yourself for whatever reason. Maybe you think that you're not as good on live stream as me, or maybe you think that I'm special and you're not, or maybe you think that I'm an anomaly and like only like, you know what I mean? Like there's something different from me than you. But like in reality, it's like every fucking day that I get on live stream is like, sometimes I literally, I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, am I going to have something to say tomorrow? Like, I've created like 386 podcast episodes. I'm like, am I going to fucking run out of shit to say? Like, are people going to get bored of hearing me talk? But I'm just doing it scared, man. I'm just doing it scared. And I've like, from the second I got on live stream, 5 years ago to now, it's just like, I just committed to doing it scared. I'm going all in. And going all in means that like, yeah, I might screw up sometimes, or I might sound stupid. I don't know if you guys ever listen to my podcast, but there's literally a podcast that I did where I went on the podcast and I screwed it up on purpose because I wanted to show you guys that it doesn't matter. So like getting yourself to get on live stream is super hard, but if you have a desire for growth, then you have to push your comfort zones, and you have to understand that like everything that you want, the $10,000 a month, the 10,000 Instagram followers, the 10,000 followers on TikTok, the 20 people tuning into you on live stream, the 50 people tuning into your Clubhouse rooms. Like if you want that, then you have to do things that make you extremely uncomfortable, right? Because your comfort zone was designed to keep you safe, right? And that was designed to like keep you in your bubble, but your comfort zone also keeps you stuck at your current level. And so if you look at your income right now and ask like, and you're like, I don't want to fucking be at $2,000 a month anymore. I want to get to 5,000, or I want to get to 10,000. Then you have to do shit that you haven't done before, right? You have to be willing to take actions that you haven't taken before, because the actions that you've taken up to this point are what got you to $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so if you want to cross the threshold and you want to get to 10,000, you want to get to 20,000 a month, then you have to do things that you're not currently doing. And most of the things that you're not currently doing are things that scare the fuck out of you. And so you have to do it scared. Like you have to do it scared. You have to like feel the fear and know that like, DMing 10 people a day might be like, make me nervous as shit, but you got to do it scared. You got to do it anyways. And you got to understand that like, if you want to grow your coaching business, like you've got to get on video, like you got to get on your stories, you got to get on live stream. Like it's optimal because we live in a digital age. And so if I can't see you face to face, if I can see your face, it's going to make a big difference. So you're going to have to fucking do it scared. And here's the truth, you guys. Here's the truth, online fitness coaches, all right? The truth is that so many of you are, hoping to study your way out of your fear, right? And I think that's what we do as online coaches when we start a program is like, we're like, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to Brian Mark, and I'm going to do the 10K Coach Academy. And I'm just going to study. And I'm going to study so much that I'm not going to be afraid anymore. You can't study your way out of fear. You have to move your way through it. So no matter how much you study, no matter how much you watch videos about getting on live streams, no matter how many DM game trainings that you watch inside of the 10K Coaching Academy, you're never going to be ready, and you're always going to be afraid. And so you need to understand that you need to do it scared. You need to do it scared. Online coaches, I want to talk to you guys. And this one, actually, this entire episode is dedicated to one of my clients. Her name's Pam. Pam messaged me the other day about one-on-one mentorship. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I hear you. I'm like, why do you need one-on-one mentorship? And she's like, I just feel like I need somebody to like kick me in the ass and hold me accountable. I'm like, you don't need somebody to kick you in the ass and hold you accountable. You need to do, you know, the action steps that we've laid out. And I'm like, the only reason that you wouldn't be doing the action steps that we've laid out is because you're scared. Like, you're putting out content and you're getting people that are engaging with your content. And she's like, but I'm just not DMing people. I'm like, the reason you're not DMing people is because you're scared. And that's okay. But I want to drop this thought in here, right? So for those of you guys that are online fitness coaches that aren't sending out messages to people that are engaging with your content, which, by the way, is like a super, super, super important thing to do. I want you to think about something, right? So if you think about the idea of messaging a prospect that's engaging with your content, right? Starting a conversation, and you think about how much fear that causes you, right? If you think about like, oh my God, I got a message to somebody that's like liking my content, like, oh, that's weird, right? I don't like that. If you think about how much fear that causes you, if you're afraid to reach out to them, how do you think they feel about reaching out to you? Right? Like, if you feel that afraid and that much fear about reaching out to prospects that are engaging with your content, how do you think they feel about reaching out to you? They're scared too, right? Like, you're scared, but they're way more scared. Like, you're an authority. You're posting content on social media as the expert. Like, you're like the person people look up to. How do you think they feel about reaching out to you, even if they like your stuff and even if they want some help? Like, they're scared. Guys, you got to learn how to do it scared, because if you don't do it scared, it's not going to get done, because they might be sitting in their fear, like afraid to reach out. And, you know, their life is, you know, they've been living the way they've been living before they met you. So it's not really any more or less pain to stay in the same place. The fear is mutual. And so if you don't cross that threshold and you don't start that conversation, then they're probably not going to either, because they're just as afraid as you are, right? And so, online coach, say it with me, do it scared. Like, those of you guys that have put off getting on TikTok, and I know I've said it 100 fucking times, but you put it off getting on TikTok because you're waiting for the right moment. Like, yo, do it scared. Post a video that you think is going to flop. Do it scared. Those of you guys that have been judging your own content because you don't want to put it out because you don't want to get a negative review or something, say something rude about, like, yo, do it scared. Those of you guys that have been afraid to post your story on social media because you don't want to get judged by other people that are reading your content, like, yo, do it scared. Like, do it scared. So those of you guys that are afraid to go on live stream because you don't want to mess up on camera and you don't want to look like an idiot in front of your audience, like, yo, do it fucking scared. Guys, I'm still afraid. Full transparency, like, I'm running a business right now at Iron Energy where it's not only me as the owner, there's 4 other owners, and all of us have very strong personalities. And growing PT Domination for me with Cole is actually pretty easy, because me and Cole pretty much always see eye to eye. Like, it's like a once a month thing that me and Cole have like a very different opinion. We pretty much see eye to eye on everything. But in Iron Energy, like, oftentimes, like, the owners don't see eye to eye with things. And so there's a lot of hard conversations that have to happen sometimes in order to get us realigned so that we're all on the same page, because all of us want the exact same thing, but some people have different opinions on how to get to the end result. And so, like, every single day is like me just doing it scared. I'm like, all right, I've got to have a conversation that people aren't going to like, but I just got to do it scared. I have to do it scared, because if I don't fucking do it, then I'm going to end up somewhere that I don't want to be. And unfortunately, that's where most people are, right? Most people are living a reality that they're not 100% satisfied with. And the reason that they haven't, left their reality or done anything that's like, challenged them to improve is because they're afraid. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid that they're going to look stupid. They're afraid that they're going to mess up. They're afraid that it's not going to work. They're afraid that they're going to fall flat on their face. They're afraid that online coaching is too saturated. They're afraid. And so they're not satisfied where they're currently at and is stuck in their comfort zone, but they're also unwilling to do anything outside of their comfort zone because they're afraid. And so the way to cross the barrier and go across the chasm is to learn how to do it scared. Learn how to do it scared. I still have moments every single day that I'm like, fuck, I've got this like fear that like creeps in, right? But I just do it anyways, you guys. I learn how to show up anyways. And I learn how to just be afraid. And like, I think that's like the definition of courage, is being willing to do the things that you know are going to help you grow, even though you're afraid. And like, when I'm talking about doing it scared, like, obviously there are some things that maybe you shouldn't do scared, right? Like, like if you're afraid of like wild animals, like, you know what I mean? Like there's some fears that are legitimate, but like the way that I'm approaching this idea is that if you know that something is going to benefit your life and you know it's going to get you, move you in the direction of your goals, and you're scared shitless of taking action towards it, do it fucking anyways. Like for those of you guys that are like putting, and I'm going to speak to a lot of online coaches when I say this. There's a lot of online coaches right now that are putting out content consistently that are fucking showing, and I hope one of my clients listens to this and actually fucking takes this to heart. There's a lot of online coaches right now that are putting out content consistently and they're putting in all the effort to create this amazing content, but then they're not engaging with the people that are fucking engaging with your content because you're afraid of, you know, messaging somebody that you went to high school with and having them be like, why are you messaging me? And so instead of stepping up and serving the people that are interested in your shit, you sit there in your fear, waiting for people to reach out to you, wondering why your coaching business isn't growing. And if you want to be successful, you need to learn how to do it scared. So that's for my online coaches that are in my program. And that's for my girl, Pam. I know she's listening. And so if you don't reach out to them, they're going to stay in the same place. And you're going to stay in the same place. And you don't get the opportunity to work with them because you were afraid to reach out. And that's not fair to you, and it's not fair to them. So you have to learn how to do it scared. And if you're an online fitness coach that hasn't gotten your business started, like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but no matter how many of my podcasts that you listen to, you're never going to come to a point where you're no longer afraid. Ever. It will always be a big investment. Always. Because nobody has the extra money to invest in a mentor. I never did. Who here has extra money to invest, right? Like nobody, like when you're looking to grow your coach, nobody has extra money to invest. The reason you're looking to hire a mentor is because you don't have extra money to invest, right? So there's always going to be fear and there's always going to be a risk involved, but you have to remember to do it scared. You have to remember to do it scared. All right. And there's one more thing I want to say actually, before I wrap up this podcast. Let's talk about goal setting for a second. All right. Let's talk about setting fucking goals. Because I think this lines up with fear perfectly. I think in life, the reason that most people aren't completely satisfied isn't because they aim too high and miss. It's because they aim too low and hit. Because when we think about setting a goal, right? How many of you guys are afraid of setting like big goals? And I'm not like, when I say that, I feel like there might be some people that are like, I'm not afraid. But like really fucking think about it for a second. Like if you think about the number $10,000 a month, right? $10,000 a month. Do you actually think that you can do that? Or are you afraid that you won't be able to do it? Because I think that a lot of people don't set big goals because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to accomplish it. A lot of people don't set big goals because they're afraid they won't be able to accomplish it. Like, as an example, like Instagram followers. Like, why wouldn't you set a goal of hitting 5,000 Instagram followers? Why wouldn't you set a goal of hitting 10,000 TikTok followers? Right? I think that the reason that a lot of people don't even set goals when it comes to social media or their income is because they're afraid that they're not going to do it. They're afraid that they're going to fail. They're afraid that it's not going to work. They're afraid that they're going to set the goal and let themselves down. They're afraid that they've tried so many different things and they failed so many different times that it's not going to work. And so there's no point on setting a goal because what's the point if it fucking worked anyways? So when it comes to goal setting, so many people set small fucking goals and then they hit them and then they're not satisfied because they're afraid of setting big goals. They're afraid of setting a big goal and then saying, I want to fucking do this. Because what if you fuck up? And what if you don't do it? Right? And so my invitation for you is to stop playing small and stop setting goals that you fucking know you can hit and start setting goals that scare the piss out of you. Like, I'm going to be honest, you guys. When I started setting like bigger income goals, like I remember the first time I told myself I was going to make $100,000 a month. I actually told Kirsten I was going to make $100,000 a month. This was like back when we first started dating. I was making about, I'll just be honest. Like I want to be open and transparent with you guys in hopes that like this podcast will inspire you to think bigger. But when I first started dating Kirsten, I was making about $30,000 to $40,000 a month. And I remember telling her, I was like, I want to hit $100,000 a month. And she was like, okay, okay. And I think that even I felt a little bit of doubt But I just I was like, fuck it. Like, I want to do it. And I hired the right person that could help me get there. He specialized in getting people to $1 million. And I told him what my goals were, and he's like, we can do this together. And I was like, okay. I was like, we can do this together. And I set a big goal, and it scared the shit out of me. It scared me. It was so scary. And so, but I set this big goal, right? I was like, this is what I want to make. And then there was these little milestones along the way, right? So once you set a big goal, like let's say you want to make $20,000 a month or $10,000 a month or whatever, right? If that's the goal that you want to make, or $10,000 a month, then if you're currently at 1,000 and you want to get to 10,000, you actually want to get there, fucking set it. Like, tell yourself that you want to get there. Like, actually fucking set it. Like, set that goal, even though it scares the piss out of you. Like, do it scared. So set that goal. And then if you're at 1,000, then you should aim to break your record every single month. So if you're at 1,000 now, then next month, I want you to get to fucking 1.5. And the month after that, I want you to get to 1.7. And then the month after that, I want you to get to 2.3. I got a DM from one of my clients. His name's Ben Pruitt. I know he's listening to this podcast right now. He was like, yo, B, I just broke my financial thermostat. And if you've listened to a lot of my podcasts, you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, a couple months ago, I was at 4.5K. And now I'm at 5. And then I went to 5.5, and then I went to 6.2, and now I'm at 7.8. He's like, I'm gonna fucking hit 10,000. I'm gonna be on your fucking pile. And I'm like, yo, like, that's the shit I like. But like, you need to set bigger goals. And I think that a lot of people that are listening to this right now haven't set a social media goal, or like amount of followers that they want to have, or an amount of clients that they want to have that's outlandish and is out there, because they're afraid. They're afraid that they're gonna fail. But my invitation for you guys is to do it fucking scared. Because every single goal that I've ever set has scared the shit out of me, but I do it anyways. And here's one thing that I can promise you guys. I've been an entrepreneur now for like 7.5, almost 8 years. Now I'm running 2 businesses. One of them is a 7-figure online business. One of them is a gym. I've got a top 50 business podcast. And here's a promise that I can make to you guys. The fear never goes away, ever. I wish I could tell you that it did, but it does not go away. It manifests in different ways. For me, it might be easy for me to go live now, but it's fucking not easy to have a super, super hard conversation with somebody that has a completely opposing opinion to me that I'm also friends with. But I just got to do it scared, right? The fear never goes away. The real secret to success, online fitness coach, is to learn how to do it scared. You guys with me? That's it. That's all. Hope you guys got some value from today's episode. I want you to think about an area of your life that you've been holding yourself back because you're afraid. Maybe you haven't gotten started. Do it fucking scared. Maybe you're not creating content because you're afraid you're going to get judged. Do it fucking scared. Maybe you're not sending out DMs because you are afraid that somebody's going to say something mean to you. Do it fucking scared. Maybe you're not adding friends on Facebook because you don't want to be quote unquote salesy. Do it fucking scared. Maybe you're not booking sales calls because you're afraid that you won't be good on the call. Do it fucking scared. Maybe you haven't hired the mentor yet because you're afraid that you're not ready. Do it fucking scared. The fear never goes away. The real secret to success is to learn how to do it scared. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys have the best day of your entire life. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace.